participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. You are in the meeting now. There are 5 participants in the meeting. You have been added to the waiting room. You cannot talk or listen until the host admits you to the meeting.
Good afternoon.
Hi, my name is Terrence. I'm the virtual receptionist here at Robertson and Henry. May I ask who I'm speaking with?
Yeah, this is John Masters. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Mr. Masters, and yourself?
It's okay. It's been a hot day.
Definitely. Luckily, I'm inside.
It's a little, yeah.
11:30, but in the Trobee this Saturday, is that correct?
I'm inside now. Yes, sir. And there's a little breeze too, so that makes it better.
I'll find out during my lunch hour meeting. Well, I am going to admit you to her login to hit join, and Anna will be with you in just a moment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
You are now in a breakout session.
Hello?
The host will move you into another breakout session. You are now in a breakout session.
Hello again.
Hello, is this Mr. Masters?
Yes, ma'am. Is this Miss Ann?
This is Anna Trobee.
Anna
Henry,
Trobee.
how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing well.
That's good.
So
Good to hear.
I was looking at the notes that we have from the call center. These are, I guess, a little bit confusing.
I've written.
Tell me, they didn't take great notes. So why don't you kind of tell me what happened?
Well, I want to. I got like 100 pages I've typed about this, and I'd like to send it to you. I don't want to get into the weeds too much with the details, I guess, of the case, so much as the law. And I got some notes here about the law I was wanting to talk about.
Okay, so I guess I'm obviously not going to be able to review that much information in the time that we have. But I guess let me just clarify. You do have a criminal case pending, is that correct?
I'm not for sure exactly where it's at. It's in between the state and federal government.
Okay. So why don't you kind of describe to me what is going on and what you're looking for?
Okay. So I got 2 questions for you. Have you ever heard of just a travesty of justice? And you might not make a ton of money on the thing, but it was so wrong. You were just like, I gotta stand up for this person. Have you ever done?
I hear you.
You ever took a case like that?
Well, I used to work at the public defender's office.
So you took all the cases were like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for answering that question. My other question is, my theory of the law is that I have a bushel of freedoms, and the Bill of Rights from the U.S. Constitution, you combine that with the state Constitution Bill of Rights, and then that gives you a more clearer picture of what freedoms you have in your particular state. And there's 3 sections in Colorado's Bill of Rights that I just want to touch on real quick. They had a right to bear arms, and it says you have a right to bear arms in defense of his home, person, and property. It also says that you got It also says you have a right to access to the courts. Section 6 says, yeah, that it's open for every person, speedy remedy, without sale, denial, delay, right? And then the right to a grand jury indictment is Section 8. And this one I'm leaning heavily on. I had about 40-something, I guess, reversible errors I listed for the appeal. But this one I took a lot of time on because I feel like it's a slam dunk. So the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution says you can't put any charges, capital or otherwise infamous crimes on a person without a grand jury indictment. And then the case law says 1958, that's the Green decision. Essentially, capital is the punishment and the infamous was anything over 1 year. And anything over 1 year that you would have to serve time in jail is a felony. So therefore, capital or otherwise infamous crimes, aka felony. Now, we needed case law to interpret that, but Colorado, when you put Colorado's Section 8 right next to it, it says crystal clearly that it's for felony and for felony only. You have to get an indictment for a felony. And then it says for all other cases, it's either by indictment or information. So, I didn't get a grand jury indictment. There was no grand jury indictment. The genius of it, just to throw a little Blackstone out there, is that if you get a conviction, it wasn't just 12 of your peers, it was actually 24. You had 12 people that would participate in the indictment out of the 23 or whatever, and then you would have another 12 with the petite jury. And so therefore 24 people of your fellow countrymen said that you did wrong. So, yeah, that's the big part. I want to appeal it on that front right there. I appealed it to the appeals court. I wrote a whole bunch of stuff on it, and they didn't really give me a hearing, and then I just wrote a quick little petition for the Colorado Supreme Court, and I got I've tried to send something to the U.S. District Court twice, and they said something about the wrong captioning, but I talked to them, and I'm going to re-edit it and send it out today or tomorrow. And so that's,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so just to make sure that I understand correctly, this was a case that you were convicted for?
Yeah.
And you're in the appeals process?
Correct.
Okay. And it was a felony conviction?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when did this happen?
This happened, goodness gracious, do I want to say 21? It happened a while ago, several years ago.
Okay. Okay. Okay, and then what is your date of birth, sir?
2882.
Okay, perfect. And so you've already appealed the case to the Court of Appeals. Have they already come down with a decision?
I didn't receive anything, but I did call them in, and they said that they just threw it out on some technicality.
Okay. Okay. So I will need to discuss with my supervisor what retainer amounts we usually take for appeals. I'm not sure off the top of my head. Obviously, there's quite a bit of work we have to do as far as reviewing the record. Was this a case that went to trial, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have to review the record of the trial as well as the appeal. Those are kind of the initial steps. And then for us to see, I guess I would encourage you, unless there's a pressing time deadline, I would encourage you to hold off on filing anything with the Supreme Court until you make a decision about retaining counsel, because we certainly don't want for
Hey, just to talk a little bit about money, I have a couple thousand, maybe five. I might be able to scrounge up 5,000. And what I was wanting for that is just to put it on your timer or whatever, and when it's out, then say, all right, let me go free from there.
Okay.
So I could probably scrounge up 5,000 if you needed more. I don't know how much more I could squeeze, but maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And just so you know, I have nothing to do with the money aspect of it. That's completely up to my supervisor. I don't get to decide what the retainers are. It's, whatever the firm policy is. I'm just not super familiar with what it is for appeals. So, just so you know, that has nothing to do with me or my decision.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Is that Robinson? Is your supervisor Robinson?
Ryan Robertson.
Yeah. Brian, is that the guy in the commercial?
No,
Oh.
Ryan Robertson is the partner who oversees the criminal defense chapter of our practice.
Because that guy seems like he's a really nice guy. I'd like to talk to him before I leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what I'll do is I will reach out to Ryan. Hang on, let me just take a couple notes really quick.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll reach out to Ryan and I will find out what we usually charge as far as a retainer on cases like this.
Okay.
And then we will reach back out to you and let you know. And if that's something that sounds good to you, then we'll get the fee agreement, and you can review it and decide if you want to retain our services, and then we'll get started right away.
I got you. Are you about to conclude the phone call?
Unless you have any other questions.
Well, yeah, I got a whole bunch of questions. Well, I guess I'm just wondering about U.S. District Court. Have you taken a case to U.S. District Court before?
I personally haven't, but we do have attorneys on our team who have practiced in the federal court.
I got you. And the email, I mean, it was only, I guess 100 pages. It gives you all the details that you would need for the case. To me, it seems like it's easier, for me at least, it's easier to read, the whole case instead of just, I could touch, yeah.
Definitely. And I mean, obviously, with an initial consultation, I unfortunately don't have time to read over that, but if you decide to retain our services, then, we'll 100% have you send that over to us for us to be able to review.
Well, I got 15, this is supposed to be 30 minutes, so I got 15 minutes. I can send it to you and just wait for you to read as much as you can.
Yeah, I honestly, our policy is not to review any documents as part of the consultation process.
Well, do you have any questions for me? Because I guess I want to use my time that I got here. Do you agree with that Bushel of Freedom's theory of mine?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, you're 100% spot on the law. It's just we would need to review the entire record and, be able to identify what the issues are that are right for appeal.
Okay, because the initial guy that took all the notes down, I think that's why he said it was going to be a paid consultation. Then he was like, I'll give it to you for free. But I had just said that as much as, just a couple grand, you're not going to make a ton of money. You'll make something on it, but I feel like the big thing is that this is just when it comes to the law, I don't know, any lovers of law, I would think, would be excited about this case. Because I do think, I'm going to the U.S. District Court first, and, it's got to go up the ladder from there. So it hasn't gone to the Supreme Court, but I don't know if you've been watching just current events, but both sides of the aisle are kind of getting stuck in the criminal justice mud, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely.
And so this is, yeah. So I guess when it comes to like the First Amendment, Second Amendment, I'd rather hear people talk about the Third Amendment because it's about principles and it's about the law. So if you have a principle, then the Third Amendment should apply to the First, Second, Third, Fourth, Fifth, all the rest of them. So.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't disagree with you on that at all.
So if a soldier tries to quarter in my house, I'm allowed to kick him out? Is that what you're telling me? Because it feels like that's the truth, but if I don't have a lawyer, I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you. When it comes to hypotheticals, it's really hard for me to be able to give you advice. Obviously, you have your constitutional rights, and that's what it says, that you can't have soldiers quartering in your house. So,
Right. It says except for during wartime, so technically we're kind of in a war on terror. So unless it was like tied to the war on terror, maybe. I'm gonna go with I got my freedom, and hopefully the courts back me up on it.
right. Well, we can only hope that they do the right thing.
Right. Okay. I feel a little bit better. Do you want to talk any bit about? I'll answer a few questions about the series of events. Did you want to ask any questions about those?
So, the notes that I have here are that you were being threatened, was being run over, that you pulled out a gun and shot off 3 warning shots.
Yeah. That's basically the gist. I wrote a bunch of notes right down afterwards so I'd always remember it. And
Yeah, and so when it comes to appeals, it's less about the facts of the case and it's more about which legal issues are right for appeal. So, in taking on a case for appeal, we're not really looking at the facts, like the bread and butter of what happened.
Yeah.
It's more about the legal procedure that was followed by the court.
right.
And that's what we would be looking at.
There's a bunch of problems with the due process, and the main arresting officer, he didn't have to testify. He shows up on day 3. There's a whole bunch of crazy stuff that happened. But that's good, because I kind of feel like I got such a good legal analysis. And it's like, do I have to sully my legal analysis with the damn case, with the facts of the case?
Yeah.
So that's actually...
It's not about the facts of the case when it comes to the appeal. It's much more so the legal procedure. What was followed, what wasn't, what's reversible error, things of that nature.
Right. I guess in general, if you're a Supreme Court justice, I feel like you probably wouldn't want to overturn something that the person clearly seems like they did something wrong, and then maybe you would overturn something if a person was innocent. So I guess it's just a real general. What?
That's not necessarily true.
You don't think so?
If there's a legal issue, if there was a matter that was mishandled as far as legal procedure, it doesn't really matter if the person's guilty or not guilty.
Good. Good.
To the city court.
Because I got a number of, I think, pretty big reversible errors. So if anybody would have just took the appeals, I wish they would. I don't know if they actually read over it, because I am a citizen, and I'm not saying I know the law better than anyone else. I'm just saying I know it the way I understand it. And so I feel like if you have a comprehensive and coherent theory of law yourself, I don't know, maybe because I was developing it at the time, it would have been nice just to have somebody else with a coherent, comprehensive theory of law to bump against, just to sort of, kind of throw it off the wall and, see what works and what doesn't work, what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, kind of racquetball, play racquetball.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Well, goodness, I got 11 minutes. What else can I ask? How long have you been practicing law?
I've been practicing for almost 6 years.
How did you like the public defender's office?
I loved it.
Good.
Honestly, I loved it. If it wasn't for, the terrible schedule and the terrible pay, I would probably still be working there. I really enjoyed my work, but unfortunately, it is not a great environment when you're trying to balance having a family.
Right.
So, unfortunately, it didn't work out for that reason, but I had a lot of really great experience there, and, a whole bunch of different cases that I handled, and got lots of good trial experience.
you feel like you gave your client a fair shake?
I mean, I think I did, but my problem was that I was never really good at boundaries. So, you know, I was working like 18-hour work days. I don't know what all my colleagues were, but, you know.
Go ahead.
I personally did.
I've always been interested in the law. I'm college graduate, but just undergraduate, and I've been trying to work out my life so I can get back to law school. And if I do and I get out of it and I graduate, I would love to be a public defender, just because I guess I want them. I don't know, even if I was in private law, I feel like a lot of poor people are just kind of thrown into the courthouse, so you could just kind of charge $20 and go to their arraignment and say not guilty for them. That way they at least have a little bit of leverage. I've seen so many poor folks just kind of give mercy to the court, say they're guilty straight off to the top, you know, and then just ask the judge for mercy. And it's like, oh my gosh, that is so risky. And so I guess my fear, well...
I always took the position that it shouldn't matter how much money you have, that everyone's entitled to a good defense.
Yeah.
You know, it shouldn't just be the people with a bunch of money who can afford to hire a lawyer. You know, you should have a good lawyer regardless of how much you can spend.
Right. And then I guess my fear is just getting into the muck of the things. I hope I don't get sour on, the people, because I'm sure there's just some, straight up criminal dickheads. Sorry, but I bet you there are some just pieces of works that just don't care and hurt people, and then you kind of have to defend them because they, get representation like anyone else. So I guess that would be my fear, is maybe seeing too much of the dark underside. But you've worked in it, and you've kind of come away still with a good impression of it. So that gives me some hope.
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, everyone has a story, and at the end of the day, you're being across the table from a human being just like you. And everyone, I don't think anyone is defined by the worst thing they've ever done. So,
nice.
In my experience, people are people, and it's always been my practice to treat people like I would want, my friend or family member to be treated.
Like the golden rule?
Yeah, exactly.
Very good. Okay, I feel good about this conversation. I guess, yeah. You're going to talk to your supervisor and get back to me?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll just receive an email, I guess. You already got all my information, so I'll just sit here and wait for your return email.
Sounds good. And we'll either email or call. I'm not sure which.
Either or text. Either or.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, either way, just be on the lookout for something from us, okay?
And it's Anna? Is that how you pronounced your first name?
Yep.
Okay.
That's correct.
Thank you, Anna. I appreciate the conversation. You have a good day.